You've seen it on the news, right? A hurricane, a massive wildfire, a citywide blackout, and at first glance, it just looks like total chaos. But what if I told you that underneath all that madness, there's actually a highly organized system at work? Well, today, we're going to take a guided tour of that very system, and we're using the WePrepare toolbox as our guide. Okay, let's jump right in.
This line right here, it just sets the stage perfectly. This is about that critical moment when a local problem starts to spiral out of control, when it gets way too big for any single fire or police department's handle. That's the signal, you know? It's the call for a much bigger, much more structured response to kick into gear.
And this really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? You've got firefighters, police, medics, public works crews all swarming the scene. So who's actually making the final call? Who's the conductor of this orchestra, making sure everyone's playing from the same sheet of music? The answer, it turns out, is a system. And the entire point of this system is to bring order directly from that chaos. It's a proven playbook, a standardized method that lets all these different agencies from totally different towns or even states show up to the same emergency and boom, instantly speak the same language. It's called the Incident Command System, or ICS for short. And honestly, the best way to think of it is like the operating system for an emergency response. It's super flexible, it can scale up or down, and it gives you that clear command structure you absolutely need to tackle any incident, no matter how big or small. So our little tour is going to start at the very top. Let's meet the command staff. This is the leadership team, the small group that acts as the brains of the whole operation, setting the strategy for everything that's about to happen. First, at the absolute top, you have the incident commander. This is the one person who is ultimately in charge. The buck stops with them, period. Then reporting directly to the commander are three key people. The public information officer. They're the single voice for the incident, talking to the media and the public. You've got the safety officer, whose one and only job is to keep every single responder safe. And finally, the liaison officer, who is basically the diplomatic hub, coordinating with all the other groups and agencies that are showing up to help. Okay, so right below that command staff, the entire response is built on four major pillars. These are the big functional sections that get all the work done. Let's break down how they all fit together. And this is where the system is just so brilliant in its simplicity. It all boils down to four key jobs. You've got operations, these are the people on the front lines, the doers. You've got planning, they're the strategists, the thinkers. Then you have logistics, they're the ones getting all the supplies and equipment, the getters. And finally, finance and admin, they're tracking all the money, the payers. Doers, thinkers, getters, and payers, that's the heart of the whole system. All right, now let's pop the hood and take a closer look inside each of these four sections. This is the engine room, right? This is where the real nuts and bolts of managing the disaster actually happens. The operations section is pure action. This is where you find the strike teams and task forces that are out there physically fighting the fire or conducting search and rescue. It's where air ops is coordinating all the helicopters and planes, and it's where the staging area is organizing all the incoming firefighters and equipment, getting them ready to deploy at a moment's notice. So while ops is doing, planning is thinking. The situation unit is like the intelligence hub, gathering info and trying to predict what the disaster is going to do next. The resource unit is basically an air traffic controller for people and gear. They know where every single person and every single truck is at all times. And the demo unit, they're already planning for the end, making sure everyone can pack up and go home in a smooth, orderly way when the job's finally done. You know the saying, an army marches on its stomach? Well, a disaster response runs on logistics. This section is the absolute backbone of the operation. The supply unit is ordering everything from batteries to bulldozers. The food unit is making sure thousands of responders get fed. The comm unit is making sure everyone's radios actually work. And the medical unit is there to take care of the responders themselves. Without logistics, everything grinds to a halt. And of course, somebody's got to pay for all this. That's the finance and admin section. The time unit is tracking every single hour worked so people get paid correctly. The cost unit is keeping a running tab on how much the whole thing is costing. And the procurement unit is handling all the contracts. Now, this might sound like boring paperwork, but it is absolutely crucial for getting reimbursed later and for being accountable to the public. Okay, so we've seen the whole team structure, the who of the response. But how does this system work over the entire life of a disaster? Well, the focus actually shifts through a few very distinct phases. First up is crisis management. This is the immediate hands-on fight, using that whole ICS structure we just talked about to stop the bleeding and contain the damage. Then the focus shifts to consequence management, which is all about addressing the so what. Okay, the fire is out. So what now? How do we help people who've lost their homes? How do we fix the power grid? And finally, long after the TV cameras have left, comes recovery, that slow, difficult, long-term process of actually rebuilding a community.
So the next time you see a massive, coordinated response on the news, you'll know what's really going on behind the scenes. It's not chaos, it's a highly structured, well-oiled machine designed to save lives and property.
This phrase from the WePrepare toolbox just nails it. The system is like a comprehensive kit. And the key is that it's scalable. That means the same basic structure that manages a small house fire can be expanded or scaled up to manage a Category 5 hurricane. It really does provide the tools for any situation you can imagine. So the incident command system is an incredible tool for organizing the professionals, the experts. But it really leaves us with one last big question. While they're out there managing the crisis, what's our role? What's our part in preparing our own families and our own communities before the disaster ever strikes? What's in our toolbox?